Name some white leaders. Dwight Eisenhower.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Rockefeller.
Generals.
I don't know. Zuckerberg. If you say current black role models.
I didn't have no role model. Bill Bellamy.
There should be 4 times as many white guys in dresses. A-list actors. And I couldn't think of it.
I'm gonna tell you why.
There's been no compensation.
Black people shouldn't pay taxes. That's my first easy reparation.
I couldn't even read the book of Romans because I heard a white pastor's voice who taught me Romans. The Bible to me is a white man who doesn't like me.
And I would see those signs, Obama Biden, driving the street, and I thought, they're gonna bomb their houses.
That's what I was.
I said, no, take them down.
This is The Deep End with Lecrae.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are some stories in this episode that we are not going to put on YouTube. They are intense and powerful and raw. There's some behind the scenes stuff in the industry that we just can't share on YouTube, but it is shared in detail on the B-Side app. So make sure you check that out. Now, listen, I love being able to sit down and go off the deep end with y'all, but the only reason why this level of authenticity and transparency exists in media form is because behind the scenes, I get the deepest level of authenticity and transparency. Who I have with me are 2 of my closest friends. You know who they are because it just so happens that they are public figures. But before they were public figures, they was my friends. We got 20 years in this. So there's not going to be no fakery today. This is all real. There's nothing fake is going down. We got my brother Adam Thomason here. We got my brother BJ Thompson here. Their resumes are extensive. They are authors. They are speakers. They are leaders. They've walked through multiple worlds, started record labels, consulting businesses, all that kind of stuff. But they also came from the hood.
That's right.
You know, so they've had to rise through a lot of circumstances, which makes us all very unique in a lot of ways, that we can speak a lot of languages and go and function a lot of different places. And so we could get really deep, and this could be a potent, important conversation. But before it gets potent and important, we got to talk about Katt Williams. We got to.
Do we?
We got to. Because, listen, this is the reason why I feel like we got to talk about Katt Williams. Because of the intersection, it's in so many spaces and places that we eat, breathe, and people are wondering, like, you know, are there mature responses? Because there's groupthink.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so I'm going to get it out the way. I'm going to just give you my initial perspective. When I first watched it, I was like, why this dude hating? I know. I was.
He told me this.
I was like, why he hating?
He told me
Listen,
this.
you can't. Listen, I'm just being honest.
I'm
being honest. I was like, why is this dude hating?
How is he hating?
But
in your eyes.
In my eyes. Okay, this is the reason why. Because I had a bias, right? Because I'm a public figure.
Yeah.
And I've seen people drag me. And I'm like, bro, why are you dragging me, bro? You could have hit my line.
Yeah.
You could have, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what I didn't realize was how real Katt was. And I didn't realize, like, he had receipts. And
people were speaking against him.
Right. Well, I don't know that part of the story. But for me, I thought dude was hating initially. And me and BJ was going back and forth.
About that part.
Yeah, me and BJ was going back and forth.
He was saying he thought he was he was just hating. And my perspective was, it's hard to hate when you're telling your story for the first time.
For the first time, and you got an Emmy.
Yeah.
Like, people don't know Katt Williams got an Emmy.
Yeah,
he has an Emmy.
He has an Emmy for Atlanta.
Emmy.
No, for Atlanta.
Catch that mic.
So I'm like, he's successful.
Yeah.
It'd be like MJ and Magic Johnson going back. I saw it as Magic Johnson coming on. It's like, man, MJ wasn't like that in the USA camp. Wasn't nobody see him as hating. They like, hey, you know, that is Magic.
Yeah.
Part of it too, though, but part of it too is I be feeling like people are always looking for a reason to pull down winners. I was like, why are you going after all the winners?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he's exposing why they're winning.
That's what. Yeah.
And I wasn't thinking about it from that because people get at me for winning. Like, oh, you got the #1 album. You got Grammys. You in the Illuminati. I'm like, bro, why does I have to be a part of something evil to have success?
But like, he'll be in the ghetto with Illuminati.
Who? Me? I would.
Come on, bro. They don't know that.
They don't know that.
You bet the bottom of the joint.
They don't know
bottom of the
that.
totem pole.
That's another thing we can talk about.
The bottom.
They don't know that for me, all of the success, like in the grand scheme of the entertainment world.
Listen, this is what people don't know. I remember us recording a record in the shower. We was recording that first record. You was like, bro, I gotta get this done. So you close the shower, you put the microphone in there. You was like, bro, we don't have a studio yet. Ben was like, Ben got the record back. Ben said, Lecrae, what the heck is this? Go to a studio.
He must be on the road.
No, this is one of the first records.
And I didn't even remember that.
Bro, because
the studio that I went to was in, some dude had a sliding patio door.
That's it.
Oh my
That's
God.
it.
So I know it was bad.
That's it.
But
that's it.
The point I was just making is like, Katt to me, initially, I looked at it like, bro, why are you hating on the winners? Because it's like, bro, why are you not celebrating people who winning? Like, why you got to pull them down? But I didn't realize, similarly, there's a lot of people around me who be winning, and I know how they win. And so if I was to start pulling on some coattails,
that's right.
It was like, so I was like, okay, this is an exposure. So when you first saw it, what'd you think?
So here's my favorite line. Y'all might have to edit it out, but
It's all good. Say it. Speak your piece.
he said,
Come on.
When Anomaly was popping, I was with a publicist at that time, and he was like, hey, there's a black woman in Hollywood. She pushes a lot of buttons. It would be to your benefit to...
Listen, so I could see it because that was a small situation.
You could see it.
So I could see it. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But I could see it.
You don't understand why people would make that decision?
No, I don't understand why. So there's a lot of things I don't understand. I don't understand why they would want to emasculate folks in that way. Like, I get it, depravity is just wrong. But I also don't understand
why they would want to emasculate.
Yeah. So one of the things I was looking at it. Apparently, we make up a small percentage of actors in Hollywood. Black men.
Sure.
Okay, black men make up a small percentage of actors in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Apparently, there are 4 times as many white actors as there are black actors in Hollywood. So, in my perspective, there should be 4 times as many white guys in dresses. A-list actors.
Gotcha.
There should be.
Should be.
And I couldn't think of them.
I'm gonna tell you why.
Why?
Want to give you an answer?
Yes.
Why?
You get an answer?
Yes.
The black man.
Okay. Talk to me.
But many of my successful white friend entrepreneurs say the black man is the standard. He's a standard of strength. He's a standard of looks. He's a standard. And if we can get that black man in a dress, it moves us up in the cultural's eyes. Like, this is a white guy with money, like millions, telling me this. I was like, yo, that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Wow.
It's like,
yeah.
think about it.
Toughness.
Swag.
Gone. Toughness gone.
Yeah, wow.
Shaq bends over. You saw that video,
yes, bro.
Shaq bends over Kevin Hart, and he humps.
I don't know if Kevin was ever tough though.
Well, hold on, listen. I
feel you.
But here's my point.
Yeah.
That's our best and brightest. They have
Doing it
trained.
to each other,
They've trained. They've buffeted their body. They've been disciplined. They've gone through rounds of auditions to arise to the occasion to then be feminine. And I think that one of the things that's the challenge is we realize, similar to code switching, black men get to where they are and still can't be themselves. They got to go there and they got to be feminine, put on a dress and do the different things. And I think that what was revealed,
talking to Kanye voice.
I think that what I realized about what Katt was saying was a lot of the illusion that we see. We just see the cosmetic. We see the presentation. a lot of the history and the steps that lead to that point are just a mystery. You don't know why that person got cast in that way. You don't understand why are all these men wearing dresses?
Yeah.
And so that agenda is really hard to see. And even just what you're saying, when people are unaware of the behind the scenes things that lead a man who may be just same-sex attracted to being fully nude in front of other men for a role, you don't even know why.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that he was decoding a lot of the mystery
for
many of us who may not even have never experienced those things. And so I think that's what one of the Katt Williams interview is, that I feel like as a society, because we're in a state of extreme delusion, now we need extreme truth. Right?
Okay.
And so extreme delusion is I can be anything.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I can be anything.
Okay, Dave Chappelle.
I can't be anything.
Okay,
if I
Dave
look at
Chappelle.
myself in the mirror and I decide that I'm a frog, that I'm a leopard,
Yes.
that I'm a cheetah today,
A leopard, I like that.
you have to validate my feelings.
That's
You
right.
have to validate my reality. And if you decide that there is something wrong with that or you disagree, you're a bigot.
Yep.
You are
We can't even disagree anymore.
Phobia. You
Yeah.
have a phobia. And now I get to throw that shame back onto you until you get to the place of where you come into more of a progressive mode and you finally agree with me. And I think that extreme delusion now necessitates extreme truth.
Yeah.
Right?
But I felt like at first I thought Katt was part of the whole delusion piece. Now
How?
Well, because initially, because of groupthink. Because generally, like,
What group is he thinking for?
well, I'm saying if you look at the internet, everybody's saying this, everybody's on the same page. Everybody rock with them. So this is what I tend to do.
Okay,
right?
okay, go ahead.
This is what I tend to do.
Go ahead.
Like, I got my certain pages
Sure.
that I gain, my anthropology from. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Name the pages.
So I got a couple pages. I ain't gonna name
May not
them.
want to know.
Name
No,
them.
I'm joking.
I ain't gonna name
Name
them,
drop your pages.
but I got my young boy
Yeah.
page where I like, if you 25 and younger, this is where you're commenting.
Sure.
If you are 30 plus male, this where you, if you're a 30 plus woman,
Sure.
this where you comment. So I'm looking at, it could be the same scenario. Megan the Stallion and Tory Lanez.
The shot.
I look at this one, they all like, man, shame on Tory. He need to
Sure.
get locked up. I look at this one, free my dog Tory, man. Meg a liar. So I'm looking at Katt put his stuff out there, and everybody's saying the same thing. So I'm like, maybe it's not true.
But here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Just look at cinema. Because you said you should see a lot of white people in dresses, a lot of white guys in dresses. I go, but that's the point. Why don't you? That's his point.
Because all we got is Mrs. Doubtfire.
That's
and that
all
was
you
a
got.
million years ago. And Tu Wong Fu.
That's right.
This is all
You know what
I'm
I'm
saying.
saying?
That's
Yeah.
that
Right.
is his point.
the
Why
point.
is it more of a less percentage in dresses than this higher percentage?
We got Martin Lawrence.
That's
Come on,
right.
dog.
We got Wesley Snipes.
That's right.
Tyler
That's
Perry.
right.
Tyler Perry.
Kevin Hart,
Kevin
who said he
Hart.
wouldn't do it, did it?
Said he wouldn't do it.
Freaking Will Smith.
Will
Chris
Smith
Rock.
did it. Chris
Chris
Rock
Rock.
did it.
I mean, why are we even doing this? Why are we even doing
saying,
this at this
bro.
point? It's like we don't even need to do
saying,
this.
dog.
So the other, it
your
took me a
starting
minute.
lineup?
It took
That's
me a
your
minute.
A-list?
No, because that's what I'm saying. Oh, you
Yeah.
go to our late, but it took me a minute to be like, okay, yeah, this is legit. Now, what did ruffle my feathers? Not ruffle my feathers, but what I did like.
He didn't say everything perfect, so I'm not mad.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
you.
Some
Sure.
stuff I was like, Kat, you didn't read no 3,000 books by the time you was.
But he did run a
No, he didn't read no
They didn't run a
3,000 books, bro.
Hold on,
It
hold on,
could've-
hold on.
You didn't run no
Hold on.
240,
He
bro.
showed himself running the
It could
4.4.
have been one fish,
He
two
ran a
fish.
4-1.
He ran a 4.49.
BJ,
Listen.
He ran a 4.49. They clocked.
Listen.
Y'all, he was at the
when
University.
somebody's using a phone,
Listen.
it's not
I
the
ain't even
same.
listen to that. I'm gonna tell you how you read 3,000 books when you spot one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. He ain't qualified which type of books, bro. You
true.
thinking chapter
Okay,
books.
okay.
That's true.
That's
That's
true.
true. That's true.
But we also know you did not count.
That's true.
But
I
it's
didn't
fine.
think about that.
That's
That was
fine.
pretty sharp.
I'll give him a pass on
3,000
that.
sharp.
One of the things though that did
That's sharp.
one of the things that did
You
strike
got the
me.
Dr. Seuss.
One of the things that did strike me though was
Hilarious.
that Katt, for all intents and purposes, let's say he's telling the truth about everything.
Mm-hmm.
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 Okay, what he did do at the same time, he was it was still infighting. I'm like, dang, we still fighting each other over something we don't own. You know what I'm saying? It's still like, man, like I'm still fighting for. It's like Netflix is Master's Farm, and we're still like, you ain't been in the house. I'm in the house every week. Master done gave me scraps every day. You ain't even got no chicken scraps.
Okay, that's how we talking. We talking plantation.
Well, listen,
I don't know.
Well, listen.
I'm just saying, I don't know.
Well, I didn't see it as infighting. Okay,
But who else was he going against but us?
But here's what I'm saying. So this is how I perceived it.
Yeah.
So let's just use the 2006 the housing crisis, right? Yeah. They said that we had a crash. Right. When you look into the economics, it wasn't a crash, it was a correction. Right?
Okay.
They had sold loans to people who could not afford to keep them. Yeah. And they knew that they were like inflating the value of things. Yeah. I think that we have inflated the value of entertainment. We've inflated the value of certain things, certain positions in Hollywood. We've inflated its value. So
you talking that talk.
Now you got a correction. He's like, actually, it's not valued here. It's valued actually lower, right? And that happens when there's more demand. There's more supply than demand. And so now you're in this new market. And I honestly think that's why it resonated with people. I don't think it resonated with people because we're all just so cynical. I think that we all have realized that a lot of this, as much as it's being valued so high, is very anemic.
Yeah, it's the Wizard of Oz. The guy behind the curtain.
Yeah, and it don't make sense. And so a lot of it, and this is candid, I don't feel like, it's not until you hear certain histories that any of it makes sense. Some of it's like, it feels so Wizard of Oz. It's like there's smoke, there's mirrors. And you know that this thing is happening and you're amazed, but you still wonder like, how did that happen? And I think this is why a lot of the Illuminati talk happens. Because you're like, man, I ain't never heard of this person, but how are they just able to wave their hand?
Industry plan is real.
Oh, sure.
Industry plan is real.
Sure. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I think what's happening in our society is we have moved to where first it was only a handful of people that had the attention in the media. Yeah. So if you went to you had all the music that was in the East Coast, and then you had Hollywood that was in the West Coast. That was it.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, the down south started making their own music, and it was like you decentralize all these things, and now there's a bunch of people, but the value of only a few is so inflated that you don't understand. And I think that what a lot of us need, and this is really dangerous, we were never meant to be this spread thin across the internet, right? So our attention, our minds, our heart, our spirit, it's so spread thin that we're not even fully present in anything.
But so I agree. Now that's a whole other conversation on the democratization of everything. Sure. Which I think is good and bad. But what I'm saying is, Katt is sitting there saying, you ain't even got no Netflix special. As if the Netflix special is what validates us.
But he was saying it from a writing joke perspective.
Right.
When you listen to what he said,
why does that make you? Because it'd be different if he was saying the laughs of the audience.
He's saying, what's the authentic thing? He's saying there is a plant. You can be planted because you make certain compromises. Yeah. And then there is the real thing. The real thing, and this was his correlation. His correlation was the real thing is laughs.
Yeah, that's the real thing. But I'm saying, he said, Cedric, you ain't got nothing on Tubi or Netflix.
But he was just,
what does that matter?
He was. I think what you're asking is why would he say that? I heard him saying that based on skill. He's like, Cedric, if you really the king of comedy, how come you don't have this thing? It's because you haven't relied on your skill. You've been stealing things.
Yes, that's what I heard.
That's why you can't get a special.
I heard this.
And that's
fair. I think that's what he was trying to say.
I heard that.
That's fair.
Whereas a lot of people think Cedric's out cold. That's what he was trying to.
And that's fair.
Now, to your point, do you got to air it out like that? That's the question.
Yes.
And that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. So you just made a point of like the overinflation of stuff. And I think that's something that I'm curious about too. And it's weird because I'm in a unique position as a music artist to even speak against it in a way. But I do feel like, especially as black men, when you sit down and you say, hey, name some white leaders, right? People are gonna Dwight Eisenhower, they're
Teddy
gonna
Roosevelt.
Teddy
Roosevelt. They're going
Lincoln.
presidents, generals, Rockefellers.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
yeah.
Current ones. I don't know. Zuckerberg. Who knows? I'll be right.
Creator, an owner, something.
Right. When you say name black leaders,
Michael Jordan, Chris Rock.
MLK.
MLK, we're gonna get a civil
Frederick
rights
Douglass,
leader.
yeah.
We're gonna get a couple civil rights leaders.
Yeah.
Right? But for the
Fred
most
Doug.
part, if you say current black role models, ask a young black, and we all got young black boys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask our boys who a black role model is, 9 times out of 10 it's gonna be an entertainer.
Yeah.
Easy.
What do we do about this? Why is this the reality? And what do we do?
That's the atmosphere. So you said the delusion. I think this whole leopard be a thing is about chaos. I think that's trying to cause chaos.
Right.
What's trying to cause chaos?
Just this, whatever I get to be, you need to honor it.
I'm a tiger.
Yeah, because at the end
okay.
of the day, God. Remember before creation was created, and He said like, "Yo, moon, you go over here. Birds, y'all go here." It was chaos.
It was chaos.
Okay.
No
When
order.
the world,
That's
when
good.
the
That's a
when
good
the
word.
world before the
a
world
good
was got to just define itself, it was chaos.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
So now, to BJ's point, I think what you see is going back into chaos when you allow people to not have the order that no, you're a male, you're a female.
Okay.
And what Satan is trying to do is
Chaos.
Chaos.
but make it normal.
I'm a tiger.
That's good.
And you gotta accept it that I am
Okay.
a tiger.
So to your point, what do we do about that? That's the chaos, right? I don't have to get A's and B's, Dad. All I literally got to do is become internet famous.
Theo,
Make it
I'm gonna get a
to
motorbike.
high school. If I could just make it to high school and become internet famous and get an NIL deal,
I'm gonna be you too.
how do I got to get good grades? Tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me why I need to work on my rational thinking.
Yes.
If I'm already an internet celebrity.
That's
If
right.
the goal is mammon and money,
That's right.
why do I need to do that?
And Jake Paul and Logan Paul are the standard.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that's why I think the chaos, like it's a out of order.
That's crazy. Yeah, I did, who did y'all look up to? I didn't
have no role model. Bill Bellamy. You know that's my
Bruh,
dude.
listen, when
you know that's my
how
dude.
to be a player was
That's
popping
my
at that
dude.
time.
Time out.
I ain't look up to
Time
it,
out.
but I did go see that when it came out.
That's my dude.
How to be a
That's my
player.
dude.
I guarantee
Bill Bellamy?
you. First of all, Bill Bellamy, if you watching this
You
right
watching
now,
this.
How to be a player,
me
bro.
up.
this is the
Hit
only
me up.
person in existence
Listen,
who is gonna come on camera and tell you
Bill
you are
Bellamy.
his role
Yeah,
model.
he looked
That kind of sounds shady.
hold on, his role.
I'm not trying to shade you, Bill. Bill, you have influenced people, but
Yeah, his role.
you don't hear a lot of people say Bill Bellamy.
Well,
Yeah,
listen.
when they were young.
Well, listen. I didn't
That's funny.
have my dad. So I grew up in Dallas. Grew up in South Dallas. My dad left school in the 10th grade. So my dad's education and where he was at in life, he just worked on the dock. So I didn't see my dad. And when I was growing up, I was walking around my neighborhood, my community. So it was like I didn't have anybody I looked up to. I was either looking at drug dealers, gang members, or people who were working long hours at work. I didn't see anybody.
you aspired to be.
Yeah,
like.
aspire. Who am I going to aspire to be?
Snoop Dogg was mine.
Snoop Dogg
This
with the
man-
doggy
Gin and
style.
juice, bro.
Gin and juice. Easy E. So for me,
The blue flannel and the khaki?
but look, but listen, but this plays into the black
Fro
role
getting braided
model.
on the porch.
Yeah,
The fro getting braided on the porch.
and they poured that champagne on the girl's
Girl,
head. Look.
Listen, I was like, yeah.
So look, but listen, no, but this plays into what we talk about entertainers. Our image was either our context
We are so traumatized. We're
or
damn
access
real.
to media. This is when we only had the box. This is when you had to call in,
I don't know
order
about
video.
you. I had more than a box.
Well, I didn't have that. All we
I
had,
had that, yeah.
we didn't have that. And
I
so
had the
my,
black and white
So
TV.
my point is, you can only be what you see. You can only become what you behold. For me, it was movies. It was like
And those meant more at our time.
Boys
Who
in the
talking about?
Hood.
Yeah.
Boys in
Black,
the
like
Hood.
black people doing it. So if you
Characters I looked up to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Characters.
But I'm saying-
So Bill Bellamy was not the actor, the character.
Yeah.
His character
in the black film.
yes.
Yeah,
Like, remember at
yeah.
that time where you didn't have streaming service? If a black person
Yes.
dropped a film or black people was
That's
in it,
what
you
you
was
look
going,
up to.
it didn't matter what it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
From Belly, Booty Call, How to Be a Player.
But that-
Boys in the, like,
Yeah,
I'm
Boys in the
going.
Hood, yes.
That's why I love
Yes.
those films, though, because those films, painted pictures of different versions of us.
Yes.
Because I didn't grow up like you said. I didn't grow up with an actual person in my neighborhood or community besides my uncle, who was a gang member and was only 10 years older than me.
Yeah. But that's
So it's
old.
like-
But that's older.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is
Crazy.
the characters were the people that I aspired to be, not the people.
Yeah,
So-
no, the character.
So yeah, I wanted to be freaking Will Smith on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I
it.
wanted to
That's
be
it.
Will,
That's it.
that character.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I guess that's part of the reason why those are our models, is because for a season that's all we had.
Yeah, but that's
those are the
still-
only lanes they gave us to.
And you gotta understand that's all we had, and that was a symbol of strength. Like people, the white majority may see how to be a player as he's
A movie.
objectifying. Come on, bro. But we see it as, hey, this is a black man
That's
in
it.
a non-subjecting role.
it.
Yeah. Who had money,
He had money.
who had his own place.
That's what I'm saying.
The standard was low, bro.
Hey, I'm just saying.
I got a bad girlfriend, my own apartment with a leather couch. I'm killing. Boomerang.
And a waterbed.
Boomerang.
And a waterbed. And he had a waterbed.
Oh man.
And he
I
had
saw
a
all
waterbed.
them joints, good and
That's
bad.
true.
Yeah,
bro.
he
The
had
first,
a waterbed.
actually, the first movie I saw in the theater was Glory, as a
Wow.
field trip, middle
Wow.
school field trip.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep, eighth
That's
grade.
crazy.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Denzel with the tear.
Yeah. And so what I'm saying is, you can only be what you see. You can only become what you behold.
Yeah.
You don't have nothing in your neighborhood. Maybe you not have people in your house you aspire to be
Exactly,
like.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's media. So this is why media is so powerful.
Yeah.
YouTube, movies, they're so powerful. Boys in the Hood. I mean, we could all identify with a
Trey.
old boy.
Trey
with
was
a
me.
Trey.
Trey was
Yeah.
me.
So
Oh, you
I
gotta get out,
I was
yeah.
more
Yeah.
like Ricky than I was Trey.
You got
So-
shot in the back in the alley.
Well, here's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I shouldn't have split
Well,
up,
let me
bro.
say this. Well,
I
listen.
told you, you shouldn't
Well,
have split up.
listen.
You should just fell down, bro.
I wanted to leave. I
He should have
identified.
stayed on the ground. Hold on, time out. Why did Ricky stay on the ground?
Because he
bro?
got
Why
shot.
you?
No,
stay
he should've-
down.
You got shot.
If you get shot, die.
No, don't die.
Pretend to die.
That
You
was
gotta
like-
pretend to
If
die.
you've never been shot before, you don't know that.
I don't care. I know people who've been shot and they pretended to
Look,
die.
bro.
Listen, he didn't know.
If you shoot me and you still coming,
should have.
listen, die.
Did he get shot twice?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
you
hit
got
him
that
2
one,
times. The
and then
leg
he-
started
yeah,
limping.
yeah.
Oh, I don't
Why
remember
would
that.
you limp?
I don't
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that. I forgot that
Every
part.
time I see it, I'm like, bro, just.
I just died.
Yeah, why would
And
you limp away?
And look, every time I see that
Why would you
character,
limp away?
you know that dude actually went to jail
The
Yeah,
shooter.
the guy,
The
the
shooter.
shooter.
He became a gang member.
because he
Yeah.
identifies so much. This is
With
what
the
I'm
character.
saying.
Isn't that crazy?
So
He
was
let me just.
Tupac.
So what I'm saying is,
Identify with
and I
Bishop.
also want to point out something.
That's funny.
Black Americans identify with their community and with their community leaders.
Yeah.
So when we get visuals of older black men and women, we identify, we begin to try to emulate what they doing. And so what I'm saying is, until you get a new representation, a new vision of somebody that's like you, that you can identify with. So that's emo, you street. There's got to be something about it. And I think,
Yeah.
because you ask, why is it entertainers? And let's be very candid, because America shot and killed every single leader that was not an
Oh, yeah.
entertainer. So
For sure.
but I'm saying you cannot forget that.
because you have to. A lot of people want to erase our American narrative.
That's right.
And just say, why aren't you this?
Nope.
Without looking at the whole narrative. Like,
That's
it was
right.
funny because over Christmas, I'm sitting in the house with my mom, and my kids are like asking both of their grandmothers, like, you actually drank out of a colored water
yeah.
fountain? And my mother-in-law tells the story. It was crazy because we're sitting there listening to it. I feel like you might have been there. Was you there?
Yeah.
And my mother-in-law tells the
wild,
story,
bro.
bro, so candidly. She's like, oh, I remember being a little girl. I went to the movies, and we went to the movies. And there was a colored restroom and a white restroom, and I had to pee so bad. And my mother said the colored restroom was broken, so she said, "Can my daughter use this restroom?" And they said, "Well, she can go in there, but you can't."
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so my mother-in-law goes into the restroom, and I'm sitting there like, my kids feel like they thought this was like ancient history.
yeah.
They not
This
realizing
happened last
like-
week.
Right. My mother-in-law says, She says the bathroom was illustrious.
Yes.
Wow.
She said it was beautiful.
Yeah.
There
Wow.
were brass and carpet. I said, why was there carpet in the bathroom?
Yeah.
This is a different time period.
Yeah. Carpet in the bathroom.
That's
but
the worst idea.
but we erase that reality
Yep.
from or that narrative from our current reality, and so then you start blaming us for certain things. Like one of the movies I really want to make, if I was ever to make a movie or a director to make, is I would love for somebody to make a movie about the very end of slavery. And then like look at just in a almost like a time lapse of how we got to where we are. Because so you take I don't know Jethro who just got off the plantation and he got his arm chopped off because he was accused of stealing, which he was starving. You know, so he did take a potato. They chopped his arm off. And then he becomes like a degenerate, like he's just frustrated and angry at the world because his arm is chopped off. And then he teaches his kids how to be better thieves because there's no other way to get money unless you steal. So he's like, y'all got to be better than me because I got my arm chopped off and take them for all they got because they ain't. And then his kids grow up with that bitterness and that anger and they learn how to hustle and then they perfect it because there's no opportunity for jobs and then they teach their kids and then so on and so forth. And then you get like BMF. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's how we got here, y'all. You know what I'm saying? This is how we got here, y'all. You know what I'm saying?
To that point, man, I think that'd be a strong film because of this reason. A lot of people don't think when there was slavery and then there's emancipation, people celebrate the emancipation, but the huge gap was no preparation for the emancipation.
Man.
So if you think about that,
They walked in one day, had a dinner.
and then they're like, okay, you're free to go. Where am
free
I
to
gonna
go.
I don't have no skills.
No skills.
I cannot read.
You got to go back to the
And they're
farm.
like, you got to come back anyway. And that's where you get sharecropping. And people don't understand.
In peonage.
Come on, dog. Like, I just like, man, that was more of a setup. So for me, I'll be honest with you. Y'all listening, y'all see me, it's hard for me to celebrate the emancipation because I go, y'all didn't set a people group up in their families and legacy for that. But y'all celebrated like, look at what we did to these Negroes. No.
And what was I just watching? Oh, I was just watching something where people were getting
Roots?
No. They were getting their stipend. It was currently, and they was like getting their stipend for some of the Native Americans.
I got you.
So the Cherokee, which are a part of my history, and I'm not one of them black people who just claiming Cherokee. I got my family got tribal cards. Okay. But I was looking at them as a reservation, and they essentially get like this. All the money from the casinos goes toward everyone who's a part of the tribe. So by the time you're 18, you probably end up with $500,000, and you keep getting paid on a regular basis. And I was like, oh, in some kind of way, they were compensated for what, and there's been no compensation for what our family has endured. You know what I'm saying? So I always think about that.
Black people shouldn't pay taxes. That's my first easy reparation.
Hey, that's a good reparation.
Or return.
Easy. They shouldn't have to pay taxes.
I'm with that.
Easy.
I'm with that.
So that nobody gotta get
Listen.
no checks out of the account. Just don't make us pay taxes.
And when people struggle with this concept, because let's be real, we all have white friends.
Yeah.
We all are involved in circles of
Influence, affluence.
yes, of different white friends, and it's interesting because we get to have these conversations that people don't get to have publicly. So the internet is like shaking fingers, and we are sitting down across the table like having these conversations on a regular basis.
On
So-
a boat, anywhere.
wherever.
That's right.
So
That's right.
one of the things that I was just recently sharing with one of our friends is that my 4 times great grandfather, he was he owned 80 acres of land.
Oh yeah.
80 acres. He was schemed against and said he owed $57, and they plotted against him because they was jealous of this land. Said he owed $57, created a case against him, and then lynched him.
Dang.
For $57. We lost all 80 acres of land in our family, and he was lynched for $87. His wife tried to go in hiding, and she ended up disappearing, which we learned later she was killed. So all of their children raised each other. You know what I'm saying? And so people then look at us and say, how can you demand reparations? I'm like, well, I mean, if you think about it, 80 acres of land was just taken from my family, and my 3 times great grandfather was just murdered.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, how do you, what do you want me to say?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right. And I think the point you're making is without history, your current reality doesn't really make sense. That's Katt Williams. You need to hear.
I see you bringing it back to Katt.
I'm saying if you don't know the origins, it's like if you don't know the origins
of
how things actually happen unfiltered, your current reality doesn't make sense. And I think that all of us are longing to be like, this just don't feel right. Until somebody says, oh yeah, the reason why they call it auction street is because down that river, they would sell slaves on that street and they would auction them off. Oh, auction street. Wait, why is this street called Market? Yeah, that's the market. People would line up and go to the market. Oh, my history has
no context for context. There's context for it.
It's context, and I think that's what history does. But here's what history also does. History makes us extremely uncomfortable. History's not predictable. History's not something you could have figured out on your own. You got to be told history, and you got to be tethered to history to be in reality. And I think that a lot of what you're saying, even about lynchings and all that, people don't understand why you're upset. It's like, well, them people getting that check, not because they're just getting a quote-unquote handout. Remember the Trail of Tears. Remember the 76 million people butchered. And let me say this. Everybody wants to laugh. Well, you can't laugh at 76 million people being butchered. You can't laugh at the Trail of Tears. You can't laugh at
unless
that.
Dave Chappelle tells the truth.
He tells that joke.
If Chappelle tells a joke, you might laugh.
You might laugh.
You feel bad about it.
But that's what I'm saying.
But you
that's the balance that we all have to have. And this is why our community has to have more than entertainers. We have to have historians. We have to have educators. We have to have teachers. We have to have all the different elements that make this community beautiful. And that's how we're gonna be able to step into the next season.
I'm glad you said that. So I'm throwing this question at you, and then we can bounce it around. But you have a seminary degree. You have an educational degree. Okay. So you studied history and Bible history. Why do we struggle with history? Like, what is the issue? Like, I'm confused. Like, so we could talk about American history and people don't want to look at it in context, and then we can go to the Bible. What's funny to me is when you look at the historical context of the Bible, then everything else starts making sense. Everything else starts making sense. What is the issue? Like, maybe you can, from your vantage point, why do we struggle with it? Why don't we care? Like I was just looking at a picture the other day of the boat that people said Jesus was on, and I was like, that's a Viking ship. That's not the same. But they don't know the implications. They're like, what does it matter? But I'm like, but if you understand the type of boat it was, the type of net it was, it seems more miraculous for him to have caught the fish and so on and so forth. But I'm just, from your perspective, and then we can all toss it around, but I'm just wondering, like, how important is history? How important is context? Why do we hate it? Why don't we care?
I think history outside of America is actually very valuable.
Okay.
It does push people forward, and it does allow people to have pride in their heritage. And I think in America, there's not pride because there wasn't reconciliation for the blood.
Okay.
And I think if you reconcile the blood, you actually have pride. Because in the pride, we'll be like, and we reconciled that.
That's good.
Good.
Okay.
And look at us.
That's good.
I think that's truly should be America. Shout out to Brian Stevenson and the Justice Memorial in Montgomery. That's what he's trying to do with.
Good, bro.
Talking about, like, hey, these people got lynched. Take these blocks, honor the lynchings, and let's move forward.
That's good. That's good.
So I think that's America's struggle.
Okay. What about, like, why don't we care biblically? Why do we just want to make up our own narratives?
Now, biblically, I think people love the nuance, the range of Christ. And they don't want to look at the past and the severity, the reverence, the strength of God.
Okay.
Because when you got to look at the historical nature and say, like, yo, my man got killed on the Sabbath for picking up some sticks. Uriah got killed for touching the Ark of the Covenant.
That's right.
They don't want that element to be in God. Yes, Paul says the kindness of the Lord leads you to repentance, but don't get it twisted. This God, this element of that God is still there. And I think because people want to be their own Elohims, they don't want to know that smoke could come from that God. So if I just make up my own narrative, I could be in delusion.
That's it. Strong delusion.
It's strong delusion.
Strong.
And they don't realize that delusion and God not doing something is actually His mercy and kindness.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
You know.
What you think?
Yeah, I think the telling the narrative, we want to tell the narrative that we want to tell without all the ugliness of it. And so, it's hard to tell history because then I got to say, oh no, actually my dad worked on a dock. Actually, my mama had me at 17 years old.
Yeah.
So when change happens, I'm now caught in a narrative that characterizes me and maybe in a way that I don't want to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? This way, maybe you hide. Maybe this is why you hide the fact that you grew up in this neighborhood. Or
John Moran.
That's right. Yikes. That's why you hide it. Because that's not how you want to look.
Yeah.
But that is your history. I'm dealing with a situation right now where an entire family lied about their history. They lied about the nature, the culture, the this, the that. And I'm saying,
Why?
Why lie about everything?
Word.
But they lied to give off the cosmetic
Yep.
that they were the Cosbys. Like the actual.
They lied to
they
give the
lied
cosmetic
to
that
be
they were
the
the
cosmetic.
Wow, so it's the opposite.
So
Yeah.
then when people get close to you and they say, this feels like the, what's the Good Times family?
The Evans.
The
The
Evans.
Evans.
Y'all was in the projects?
Yes.
Oh.
It's because there's deep-rooted shame.
Yeah.
They have a sense of
Yeah.
deep shame. So I think that a lot of us, we are not free enough to tell our whole story. Therefore, we tell a projected story that makes us look better in front of other people.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to look bad. I don't
Yeah.
want to look like, oh, my daddy worked on a dock. Well, my daddy did work on a dock.
Yeah.
But my dad working on a dock paved the way for me to have other attributes that maybe you don't have.
Yeah.
And so I think even finding security
Yeah,
in your
in the
own narrative.
In the narrative.
Your full narrative, not the narrative you just want to tell.
I
gives us
struggle with
freedom.
that because when I look at my narrative,
Full narrative.
yeah, like I'm saying, I can be honest about it because when I look at mine, it depends on the context that I was in. So I think that for especially a black kid growing up in the 90s, there was a perpetuated, there was a perpetuated gangsterism.
For the same time.
A perpetuated
Keep going.
gangsterism,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
you really needed to be the toughest person in the
you
world.
Sure, 100%.
And
Kanye
that,
wasn't accepted at
Yeah,
that
no
time.
Kanye,
Kanye,
no,
no
Ain't no
Kanye
backpack
Dropout.
rapping.
none of that.
I didn't know one backpack rapper.
None of that. So
Eazy-E,
Yeah.
Ice Cube.
the truth of the matter is like the war on drugs created a couple different types of people, and two of the narratives are often spoken about. The war on drugs created the addict.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's right.
And the war on drugs created, the criminal.
That's right.
right.
The gangster, the drug dealer.
Right. But I'm not either one of them. I'm the child of someone
an
the child of an addict.
That's right.
The nephew of the criminal.
That's right.
Yeah.
Me
And
too.
so it's like all of those things affect me, but I'm neither one of these, and I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure out where do I fit in this narrative?
Especially at that time where having one of the other narratives
Yes.
is how you make it.
Yes.
That's right.
Like this is it.
Yeah.
You know, how you gonna make it in life if you're not a hooper,
That's right.
a rapper? Dang it, I'm a rapper.
Yeah, you're a rapper.
But you got your full ride first.
That's right. I got a full ride first.
You
Yeah.
got full ride theory scholarship first.
2 Chainz.
Hooper, rapper,
sell dope, we go
or sell dope. Be a criminal. And I
Yeah.
personally,
Yeah.
it took me a long time to reconcile my own narrative.
Yeah.
To have to come to grips with the fact that, you know what? There's another person in this whole picture that is not represented in society.
Yeah.
And that's what we represent sitting right here.
Yeah.
We
Right.
represent a lot of people who are, listen, I'm not a thug, but I'm not like,
Safe.
Safe is another. I mean, what I would say is, hey, there's some trauma in me.
That could come out.
You feel me? So please don't try it. I'm still healing.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But at the same time, all of us are educated. Y'all got
yeah.
degrees on degrees.
Yeah, we do.
We're educated, but we come from this environment. Like, we really shouldn't be here
No,
in so many senses of
Not
the
at
word.
all.
And I guess where I'm going with this right now is, I mean, y'all know this about me, but I think what frustrates me the most is I speak to a vastly large audience, but a lot of them do not have same life experiences, and they only taste the very vanilla part of me.
That's right.
They only encounter the safest part of me, and so when I say something about, hey y'all, what if we consider this?
Yeah.
And they push on me as if I didn't really come from that, as if I don't have real life experience in that.
Yeah. I think that's because that's how they encounter you.
Okay.
Right?
Touche.
Don't waste your life.
Touche.
That is a very
Touche.
vanilla.
Touche.
It hurts, but I hear it.
It's very
Touche.
vanilla.
It hurts.
But and at the same time, I think you gotta have freedom. You gotta have freedom to say, "Hey, I did engage that."
Yeah.
And I felt white adjacentness is what was gonna get me forward. But I gotta have also freedom and courage to say, "But I've moved."
That's good.
And you gotta move, and you gotta say it that clear, like, y'all, I was there. And, and there are certain things I know is gonna come out that we've been filming where you talk about that.
Right.
But I've moved, and here's why I moved. Here's why I was there. Here's why I'm not there.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, I think even just part of their struggle is because they have not embraced their full story. And so you're sharing your full story. It's messy. It's not, I'm on a stage with 60,000 people. It's like my dad's an addict. I come from this background. My uncles are all gang members. So it's like, so that projection or that cosmetic, it just doesn't make sense. And I want to tell a story. I got a close friend, and he's very unashamed about telling his full story, and I couldn't understand why. I was like, man, why are you
hiding?
You don't hide it. You just like bring it out. But then I realized why not long ago. He said, BJ, I've been telling you this whole time that I had a aunt who was a drug addict, a crackhead, who gave away all of her children. He said, I want to show you something really powerful. He sent me this video, and he said, look at this woman. I said, who is this woman? On the video was this woman who was working with women in shelters, and she had changed her life, and she did all these different things. And I said, yo, who is this woman? He said, that's my aunt. I said, oh my God. He said, BJ, I've been telling you this whole time, and now you get to see the power of God work in her, right? I think that in a lot of ways, what we don't understand is that when we tell the full narrative of our stories and things change, people get to see the power of God, not the power of performance.
That's good.
Right?
That's really good.
And so that's really where a lot of us struggle with is we're struggling with that history to tell the, and y'all know I've gone through my phases of working in the nonprofit, working in education, working in the church, doing this. And it's like I feel like I gotta change myself, and I'm only in that season. I'm in my season of being unashamed. I'm in my season of being educator. I'm in my season of being a coach. I don't know my full story, and so now when things actually change, God can't get a glory.
Yeah.
And I think that when we do this kind of this unrelenting, it's like I'm not scared to say, hey, you know what? I really appreciate you sharing about your story with your dad. Because you know what? My dad was there, but he was not present. He took prescription drugs. And so it's like, it ain't crack. It ain't.
No, yeah.
He's a wino.
Yeah.
But
Can I
I
say
can
something to
relate
throw
on
curveball
a
on
level of where you are in that regard.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Adam.
Curveball on this.
Go ahead.
I believe that it could come across that sharing our story is going to get us the progression and success that really at the end of the day, Christ said is two, Mammon or God. And I think going back to Katt Williams, going back to your point where you said, why are our sons like basketball, entertainment? It's because Mammon really is the thing we believe
will change. Yeah.
That's the only thing I meant. So that's why I'm not sharing my full story. I'll share
Because I don't want to mess with the money.
That's what I'm like. We really need to talk about though.
No. That's
why they put in the dress.
No.
on.
Put the dress up.
Come on.
You want to get real?
Yeah.
You want to get real? Let's get real.
That's what
You want to get real?
over here.
Let's get real.
Come on,
Let me tell the truth. Right here. Let me tell the truth. Let me tell the truth. Right here, right now. We getting real. Okay?
No draws.
This is we getting real.
I get 2,000.
I'm pulling my pants off right now. Drawers hanging out. Okay, I'm about to show my drawers.
Yeah.
Want to get real? So, to your point,
Go ahead.
I remember. So, I dabbled. Now, You talking about a kid grew up,
All right.
Black Panther mama, grew up fed by the
true,
Black
yeah,
Panthers.
yeah.
I grew up reading Eldridge Cleaver, Soul on Ice,
Soul on
Malcolm
Ice.
X.
All on ice.
The gorilla, the ogre, the
Now,
ogre.
once I write, God is enough.
Yeah.
Don't waste your life.
Yeah.
And I start seeing the money and the affirmation.
Yeah.
Now, listen, we live in America. There are maybe 40 million African Americans.
That's right.
And 200 million.
12%, less than 12%.
200 million European Americans. It is financially beneficial to make music that the 200 million
That's right.
people want to hear versus the 40 million.
Right.
But Craig, you gotta keep it real, man.
Yeah.
You know
So
what I'm saying? Young
what
shit.
I was doing for a season was like, hey, this now in sincerity, I'm trying to honor God, but at the same time, it's not
you
lost
know,
on me.
yeah, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
the-
who
It's not,
listen?
You know,
it's not lost
Yeah,
on me.
he know who's listening.
And then it came a point I'll never forget when it was like, yo, we facing a little bit of attention as a black community, and there's some issues out, especially living in Memphis.
That's
right.
And it was like, man, how do I address these particular things? Because no matter what conference I go to, I can come out here to the biggest conference with majority white people,
right.
and then I come back to Memphis and people are locking their doors when I walk down the street,
Yeah.
and that bothered me. And I dabbled, but I wasn't about to mess up the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna write Dirty Water. I'm gonna throw us a couple gems in there. The most segregated time week, Sunday service. All right, I'm gonna get back out
That's
of
good
here.
now.
You know, all right, moving on. You know what I'm
calling
saying?
all the messages.
Call all the messengers. You feel me? And so people was really believing that when I started to get more
vocal.
vocal about
What
the
it say?
plight
But
of
take a knee. What was that joint? Take a
when
knee.
I tweeted that.
What was the line? Go. Everybody
Talking about
quiet.
family?
Start a riot.
Take a knee,
Everybody
people
quiet.
riot. Take a bullet, people quiet.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Whatever. I don't remember which one it was. But the point I'm making is, once I was more vocal, people was assuming that, you're placating to the liberal audience.
It's just changing you. Like
As
you
if-
didn't have a Black Panther mama, and these things were.
And as if liberal, secularists are out there buying up my album and streaming my songs. Yeah, as if they don't have a whole slew of
sure,
artists
right,
that are
right.
way more prominent. So
Amy
I'm actually
Winehouse.
going. I'm going
Lady
against the
Gaga.
grain.
Yeah.
I'm going against the grain, just trying to articulate what I think is biblical. But I hear you because I was struggling internally, like, woo, I'm going to lose some money.
And that's the honest thing. I think that's what people need to see, and that it is a wrestle specifically of the black man. Like we have a friend. I think it'd be good to bring him on here, but he tried to argue me down and lost that the black man can be his full self, just like the white man can be his full self and get the same success. I'm
No,
like,
I
bro,
disagree.
ain't no way in
I disagree.
hell.
In
That's
Atlanta?
Nah.
No.
In DC? I'm
Because
saying.
even in Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms got her stuff turfed by the governor. Like,
Yeah.
like no.
That's right.
I don't care
That's
what
right.
you say about
That's
these
right.
vaccines. We doing
right.
it this
That's
way.
right.
I know what you mean.
You see what I'm saying? I'm like, no,
right.
it's not equal.
Because they don't have to address history
They
and
don't have
narrative.
to, dog.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
If they address history and narrative, they can address it from all the redcoats are coming.
Bro, let me,
Yes, yes.
let me give you an honest, quick story. I'm in a position where I can hire and fire people. I had to hire an editing position for this organization, and I wrestled with the two final candidates. One was a white dude who was head and shoulders above this black chick that was coming out of college. But he could do the job. And literally, no exaggeration, I called so many people. I talked to black women, Asian dudes, white dudes who I thought had perspective. And they like, why are you wrestling? I was like, man, I feel like the answers would be mad at me if I hired this white dude. This really was a wrestle. Yo, I ain't lying, bro.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah,
What ancestors? Elijah?
Hey, no.
I was like,
Nigga,
yo,
Martin Luther King.
Nehemiah?
I was like, man, I'm
Coretta
struggling.
Scott. Coretta
Yeah,
Scott.
yeah,
You
yeah.
better not hire them. And I was like, all right,
Jonathan
Lord.
Majors, Coretta Scott King. I needed my Coretta.
So I was like, all right, Lord, like who's the best one? I felt like he said a guy named Jeff was the best one, but I wrestled with that.
Dang.
So you hired the white guy,
Yeah.
but you felt internal. Do white people ever have to struggle?
No, man, I ain't wrestling.
No, come on, man.
Thinking that no Ben,
Come on, man.
Ben Franklin thing.
Ben
Wait a
Franklin.
minute.
No, bro.
When is George Washington
nepotism.
I promise you, you got. Let me tell you where you're wrong. Okay, let me tell you where you're wrong. Hold on, time out. I'm gonna tell you where you're wrong.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you where you're wrong because there are some white guys who are saying to themselves, "The ancestors be mad if I hire this black guy."
That's true. That's true.
The Confederacy is mad.
We'll rise again.
All right, just making sure you know that.
We'll rise again.
No, but I think
Russell. That was an honest Russell.
I think the other Russell is, and I mean, we could talk all day about a lot of different things. Here's one thing that because I'm a Christian, we all believers, right? Yeah. And man, you started something years ago, which I think your intentions were right. Red Revolution, right? And it's like almost like, I don't know if y'all can speak to I have to speak to the struggle of like understanding that my faith in the Lord supersedes everything else, especially in a time period when there's so much ethnic tension, so much racist rhetoric, and you're like, nah, bro, I gotta stand up for the people, and it's like there's a white guy next to you who loves you and is wanting to support you, and in your heart of hearts, you're like, no. You know what I'm saying? No, I can't right now. It can't be Jesus and godly stuff, man. It's hard out here. You know what I'm saying? Where like having to get to a place of understanding or like just a place of health. Where it's like, okay, we are like related, and I gotta love you, and I gotta and it was hard when I felt so much hatred and so much attack and so much vitriol coming toward me, to a point where it was like, man, I mean, just being candid, I couldn't even read the book of Romans because I heard a white pastor's voice who taught me Romans, and I was like, I don't want to even associate this. The Bible to me is a white man who doesn't like me. And it has taken me years to get to a healthier place where I'm like, hey, we are family. But I don't know. But there was an internal wrestle of feeling like, am I letting down the ancestors? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to shuck and jive. And that's the hard part is like the persecution, even from trying to live out love.
That's true.
Like, interracially amidst the time period when everyone is at war, and it's like, dang, I want y'all to know I'm down for the people, but at the same time, like I'm still bound by something greater. Like
I think before you can move forward, you got to look back. And I think that part of the reason why the struggle comes is because we're giving all the forward things. Look, remember, stupid. Used to say, oh, you think because you got a car and a house, you made it. Or you live in a certain neighborhood, you go to a certain school, you made it.
Post-racial.
And in your mind, you associate those things with being post-racial, and so you are above all of that.
So there's not no black, I'm OJ.
That's right. So that's right. Okay. So there's no need for you because you are not them. I remember when
you believe it's not gonna come for you.
Yeah. So I remember the 2016 when folks was like, "I'm not my ancestors. I got these hands." I don't know if y'all remember this. Bro, it was like, what are y'all talking about? But it was, I'm so removed from this reality and needing to fight that I don't even have to think about it. I don't have to deal with it. It didn't have to be something I even discuss or bring up. And I think that a lot of us, this is why history is so sobering when you realize this is my history, not their history. And you got to let that hit you as well. You can't just say, oh, I'm a Christian, so my identity in Christ transcends any of these realities. Well, what kind of repentance is happening? You don't even know what the sacrifice is for, because the sacrifice is for sin. The sacrifice is for transgressions. The sacrifice is for racism. But if you're not even willing to let yourself go through the process of actually being present with that emotion of like,
oh, yes.
88 acres was stolen.
Yeah.
Now it's almost like a delayed grief, delayed anger because you were in extreme delusion or extreme denial.
Mama died, but she going to heaven.
Yeah, no.
I don't have to grieve that.
That's right.
I don't got to grieve that at all.
And that's what's happening to us. Is we're going through this process where we're saying, how do we be in mixed company and love them, have a transcendent love Well, you can't have a transcendent love until you have a painful grief
Yeah.
of the past.
And that's what I was saying too. I struggle with allowing people into because we got some amazing non-black friends.
Oh, I do too,
Who
for sure.
wanted to step into that grief, and it was like, no.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's not their pain. Some of it is not their
But
grief.
I will say this. I will say that it is selective choosing of the past. And I always call people out. I go, you don't want to address history, but you want to celebrate the 4th of July.
Yep.
You don't want to address history, but you want the propitiation of Christ.
That's right.
Thousands of years ago. No, it's selective. So if you don't want to talk about history, take them flags down. Right?
Come on, bro.
Don't do them stars and stripes.
Take
They
them
would
statues down.
riot.
That's true.
They would riot. So I'm
That's
like,
true.
no, that if you want to celebrate the 4th, then you got to celebrate the totality.
Yeah.
So we can reconcile.
That's right.
So then we
So
all
we can reconcile.
celebrate.
That's right.
That is subconscious selective choosing.
That's what it is.
And I hate that. This is what I hate.
That's true community, though.
No, but I'm saying what I hate is that we have to be to function in society. We're asked to quiet those voices. We're asked to silence that internal burden.
Yeah.
Like one of the struggles that I have is the fact that we use colors as identifiers for our racial constructs.
Sure.
Because I think the color takes out some of the nuance that could really,
Sure,
you know what I'm saying? Because we're not, when people say, why is it always about black? It's just a color. Like we're all human. And I'm like, I'm not trying to talk about the color. I'm trying to talk about the culture.
Yeah.
So it'd be better if I was like, had a ethnicity to go with it, like Irish. Because no one would ever get mad at you.
true.
If you're like, I just want to celebrate my Irish culture.
Bang, 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 bang.
True.
Bang.
Yeah, I just want to celebrate. But it's like when we talk about a color, it's not the black skin.
that's right.
I'm trying
It's a
to
culture. It's
highlight.
It's culture.
Right. And I don't want it to supersede my faith.
That's right.
But I also don't want it to be overlooked, just like you wouldn't want your.
Well, let me
right.
say something about that.
Yeah.
I call that selective too, because biblically, God always talks about land, sea, and language and legacy.
Yes.
So you don't find that missing. Even
Tribes,
when Christ was on the
languages.
scene, he never took that away.
Yes.
The Revelation, you never take it away. In the
zealot,
body of Christ, you
Jews,
never take
Gentiles.
it away. Come
Yes,
on, dog.
right.
Other nations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
He's-
subcultures, right?
You're not
Yes.
trying to erase it.
We're
So
not
you don't
trying
have
to
to be
erase it. We're
colorblind.
saying what is the best part to be redeemed to make a full tapestry.
Yes.
So if you try to make people
bro.
bland, then that means God is bland, and
Yep.
God ain't bland.
Right. No,
Right.
he's
He's just
dynamic.
He's the
That's
dynamic.
what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and that's how it needs to be navigated, right?
Yeah.
And I think for fear of wanting to make space for people then just shut it down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And say just have this one expression.
Oh, yeah. But I think that's what makes us more human. So hear me when I talk about the stages of grief. When you go, dang, that's real. And that's not just your history, that's our history. The reason why the black and white thing came, it didn't come out of nowhere. It came out of Bacon's Rebellion, right? So it had a historical timestamp of things that happened that led to the moment where the class system had to say, oh no, y'all.
We got to figure out who's going to be the slave and who's not.
Somebody got to be something.
We're going to have to color code this thing because it can't just be poor.
That's it.
Because the poor people are pretending to be rich.
That's it. Right. And so what I'm saying is now it's not just your pain, it's our pain, our history, and we got to journey together. And I think that's what brings me and my friends that are non-black together. It's not I got to go and act more like them, because that used to be the thing. Code-Switching. Oh, we got to talking to Kanye. Well, I got to do all this
Hey,
stuff.
we was some cold code switches though, bro.
Hey, I wasn't that cold. I
cold
wasn't
code
really
switches.
cold.
You had the gear on, man. You had the Dockers.
And for like a year or two.
Nah, you was cold, man. You had the, hey,
Listen,
man.
you gotta do a long term.
Memphis, I saw you. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta do a long term though. You can't do a short term. You can't do it
Nah,
for 2 years.
his was kind of like his code switch would be like he turned it on too much.
Oh, yeah.
Like it'd be like, hey, you can turn it off, bro.
And here
You
go
can turn it off,
Lecrae.
bro.
Here go Lecrae. Just use your voice. Just use your regular voice. Here go Lecrae. Use your regular voice. Use your regular voice.
Hey, we would walk in the rooms, bro. We would walk in the rooms, and it'd be like, B would be like,
to this.
B would be like, hey, man, how's it going, buddy? How you doing? How's everything? Everything's good. And I was like, hey, no, bro. You good. This is a safe space.
Probably looking like, who?
This is a safe space, bro.
He's like, what?
This is safe.
Look,
we good here.
Look, that's what he said. That he would use
like,
your voice.
I said, hey, when we got to Atlanta, because he was still in Memphis. In Memphis, you better
You better be on your P's and Q's.
You better be on your P's and Q's.
You better. That's huge.
You don't
That's a
code
good
switch in
old boy.
That's a
Memphis.
good old boy city.
Right, you out of there.
That's right. You better be on
Lock
your
him up.
city. That's right.
When he got to Atlanta, he was like, what is you doing, Cray? You got your chain
Oh, he
out?
walking around with his chain out.
You
Bro.
got your Jordans
Hold on. Time out.
at
Hold
the
on.
business meeting?
Listen. But I think now we got to talk about different black experiences. You come from a small town
Got
where
your
you
chain
can't
on?
be free to be black.
Oh, man.
Culturally.
Yes.
You come to a place like Atlanta, and you like, what's all these doing? Y'all's rappers? What is this happening? And you see,
You
these
best to
folks-
use your indoor voice,
So that's
boy.
what I'm saying. You don't know. You don't because you have so suppressed that because in your mind
God.
that's unacceptable. That means you're uncultured. That means you're
Yes.
backwards.
Yes.
And
But
that's what I'm
here's
saying.
my question.
Go ahead.
Here's my question on that, or maybe Russell frustration is. I think we put such a premium on the bag,
Sure.
and success and comfort
Great.
in this journey, in this realm, that I don't think people think it's worth it being your full self.
Ooh.
If it's at the expense of the defined bag. Because a lot of people have defined the bag.
Okay.
You know, like success can be relative, right? You could have just stayed in that one house. You didn't have to move to that.
That's right. That's true.
Each kid don't
That's
need a
true.
room.
That's
a
true.
choice. You see what I'm saying?
That's true. We
Each
did
kid
lap
don't
up.
need you don't need all these things.
Yeah.
But we're saying like, well, I need to be this version of myself for them to get this level of the bag.
Yeah.
And we justify it and go, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Or, you know, our kids, I tell my wife all the time, I go, we're making choices. Like, we're not strapped to any of this. Like, our kids don't got to be in private school. Like, we can take them out, go to public school, pray, pour into them. But we believe that they have to have these things.
Yeah.
And so to keep that bag going, then you're like, nah. Cray, you got to understand, I got to stay like this.
Yep.
Yeah.
They go, no, you don't.
But you know where we
No,
get
you
that
don't.
from? We get that from being in this environment, bro. Like we get that from our white counterparts.
Yep.
Like when living in Texas, nobody wanted a Cadillac until they saw the old rich oil guys
right.
with the
That's
Cadillacs.
right.
My mama tells a story of the Pontiac. They used to white people used to call black people Pontiac. And it's like
I never heard this in my life.
because it's like we're all aspiring to have what they have.
Wow.
So you got that, I want that.
Wow.
Black skin, white man.
Yeah, you got it. I want it. So of course I'm gonna do whatever I got to do to get what you got. You know what I'm saying? I want what you got. So I'm gonna.
But
and
where's the
what I'm
freedom
saying.
then?
Where's the freedom is? That's why I say in Atlanta I learned that I could be myself and not be hindered
Yep.
in the same way I was in
Yep.
Memphis.
Okay.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like I remember coming here and seeing people outwardly campaigning for Obama, and I was like, stop it.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna get in
he's telling
trouble.
Bro, listen, he's telling the truth.
Y'all
though.
gonna get in trouble.
Bro, he's telling the
Oh,
truth.
killing me.
You know what I'm
Bro,
saying?
no, listen, he's telling the
I
truth.
was serious.
He's telling the truth, bro.
I was like, yo, what is y'all doing?
Bro.
It had nothing to do with politics.
That's
So
right.
forget about what you believe
Politically.
politically. If
Politically.
Obama's great or if he's not great.
Yeah.
My thing was, hey, y'all are crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Publicly affirm.
publicly
Publicly
affirming this
this.
man.
Yeah.
Like, do you not know what
Bro,
what are you doing?
When we lived in Memphis, I'll never forget driving down Walnut Grove. I'll never forget this. And I remember seeing those vote Obama and I forgot who was his VP?
Biden?
Just man.
I remember listen.
Hey, well, some people say he's forgettable. I don't know. Okay, I'm sorry.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
I'm not saying he's not doing his job, but he's not entertaining. He's not doing all the other stuff we know certain people do.
Yeah, just pray for
So,
Biden,
anywho,
man. Pray for his health. Man. He up there.
So anywho, but my point is, I will never forget. I was living in Memphis when Barack Obama was potentially about to win the presidency, and I would see those signs, Biden, Obama, Biden, driving the street, and I thought, they're gonna bomb their houses.
That's what I
I said, don't take them down. Bro, hold on, time out. Bro, listen, let me tell you why. Because, but listen,
Y'all killing me.
But Adam, let me tell you why. Adam, listen, let me tell you why. Listen. It only takes, this is behavior sciences. This negative and positive reinforcement. This is all it is. It's psychological. So here's what I'm saying. If you know that people can cut off your resources based off of your reasoning, your choices, and your expressions, at a certain point, you stop taking that door.
No, but that's what I think. I think we should ask that question. Then, what is it worth? Is your full expression in public?
It just depends.
It depends.
No, I think that's the question.
It depends.
I think a lot of people wrestle with
that wasn't worth it.
No, I'm saying I think a lot of people wrestle with that current. I think that's a current wrestle of all ages.
I'm saying that wasn't worth it for me.
My 3 times great grandfather. It's like they hung him.
Yeah, but I'm saying get it even more young. Your son told you like. Yeah, Dad, I like speaking Japanese or I value that, but my friends won't accept me.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. It's a wrestle of all ages.
Clout, finance, acceptance. And again, if you don't understand your identity is wrapped up in God, you're going to struggle with acceptance and identity politics. If you don't understand, if you're not a Christian, you don't grasp the concept that God is your provider.
True. So Mammon is your God.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Mammon is your God.
You said earlier, why would they want to emasculate? It's power, bro. People do like exercising power over other people.
I can see that.
Yep.
It's just straight power. It's like I can control the most powerful looking thing in the culture. And black people do it to other black people. Going back. Yeah, buck. Come on, dog. Like,
buck breaking.
So we're going to round the bases.
Okay.
For y'all, in light of what we've discussed, like if you have to inject an ingredient into the culture right now to help, I won't say fix, but what I'll say is to help bring a salve or some healing to what we're dealing with. Yeah. What is that?
I would say order doesn't bring slavery or prison, it brings freedom. Like anything, you can give me music, you can give me colors, you can give me fashion. And then you can give me the actual world. No one celebrates earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes. They get fearful. And creation is a microcosm of what happens when we don't want order.
Yep.
Sheesh.
Right? So what we got is a bunch of human tornadoes, hurricanes, ideologies going around. And we're like, yeah, let's celebrate that. But as soon as you hear that hurricane siren, it's like, man, why is it still hurricanes? Why? Yeah. Because,
tornado warning.
You know what I'm saying? Because God is like, no, there should be order. And that's why I showed y'all the creation story. It's not a children's book. It's to say when you get out of order, it goes to chaos.
Your new nickname is the Weatherman.
That was hard. I'll take that.
Hey, that was hard.
I may change that. I may put that on my social media.
I'm the Weatherman.
Right? Oh, we got it on video. I was like, write that down. That's
no Weatherman. That's what I would inject.
That's good.
You know, I remember when I was at SCAD, and BJ, you answered. I said, I remember I was at SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, and our teacher said, your temptation as an artist is going to be able to think that you should be able to create anything without any order or fundamentals. And they said, no, you need to understand what red, yellow, blue, complementary colors are, the foundations of creation, because that's going to help you make the most beautiful art. And I think people don't want to believe anymore that God's order is what helps them make the beautiful art, motif speaking, in their lives.
That's good, bro.
So I'll say order. That would be the ingredient.
That's a good injection.
Yeah, I would say, regardless of how popular it is or unpopular, always tell the truth. There is a temptation for us to fit into cultural waves, movements, and something in you just don't believe it, right? And some of that is maybe you're unaware of actually what's being said, but then the other piece of it is you kind of feel like you're co-signing on a lie, right? When we co-sign on lies, first we say it, then we write it, we rewire our brains into delusion, right? And so I think that one of the things I want to inject into the culture is have the courage to stand on the truth because it in itself will defend itself. Right? So Jordan Peterson has this line where he says, when you lie, you have to always remember the lie. You got to remember the complexity of the lies. He says when you tell the truth as best as you know it, consistently, you can forget it and it will stand on its own.
That's good.
And I think that that in a lot of ways, we are so thirsty to be loved, accepted, celebrated, and be viral among, one another, even though we don't have any interaction with each other. That we will co-sign things that actually, they co-sign disorder. They co-sign things. I'm like, you can't be a tiger.
Co-sign chaos.
It's like, as much as you want to be a tiger.
Someone in the comments is going to tell you they a tiger.
Listen, but I'm saying.
And I go, okay, then go be with a tiger and see how long you last.
Yeah, and so what I'm saying is.
That's it, real talk.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. Tigers.
That's how long you actually last.
It's going to be like, news report.
Done, right?
You're great.
And so I just say that because that you don't have to be popular, but you do need to be honest.
That's good.
And I just think that if I can inject anything into the culture, it's just this weird fear of just being honest. And candidly, this is my truth. I've shared the truth with people as best as I know it. I leave it. And it's so crazy. We know this as well. We don't even touch it. People come back to us. Y'all know this. Tell me that I'm lying about this. 5, 10, 15, 20 years later. Bro, you was so
right, dog.
You was right, dog.
You was right, man. I wasn't trying to hear you, dog.
I wasn't trying to hear a word you was saying. I was in the thing.
Racism
You trying to save me.
Yeah. I was saying it was post-racial. Then all the shootings happened, man. You was so right, dog.
Maybe all in my DMs.
And look, and this is what's crazy. People try to sneak and tell me this later.
Yeah.
BJ, I heard you say it. I know everybody try to jump on you about it. But it took me 15 years to finally click.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, you was telling the truth. And bro, I forgot about the thing I said.
Yeah.
I left it.
That's good. Because you wasn't lying.
Because I wasn't lying.
You wasn't lying.
And so I would just say that's the thing I would inject is
that's good.
Be honest.
Yeah, I love that. I would say we've done a lot of conversations about this. The technological term for it is neuroplasticity, right?
Sure.
This is I'm setting it up to say what I would inject. So neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity. A neuroscientist says that it takes 3 seconds for negative thoughts to imprint on your brain. It takes 14 for positive thoughts to imprint on your brain. So our brain is like flypaper to the negative and Teflon to the positive. And I think it's, if I'm not a Christian, I'm going to say neuroplasticity. I'm going to say, practice gratitude. I'm going to say stop participating in toxicity in the rat race of the opposite of human flourishing.
Sure.
But as a Christian, neuroplasticity, Paul been talking about it. It's called renew your mind.
That's exactly right.
Renew your mind.
So think on these things.
Think on these things.
That's right. That's whatever's lovely, beautiful. That's what he said. That's neuroplasticity.
And that's what I would say to people is like, man, y'all are chewing on poison every day, and you never chew on antidotes.
That's right.
It's like when you spend enough time with the truth, the lie's more easy to recognize.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I'm like, man, can y'all just chew on some truth? Can y'all renew your minds and not, and I'm speaking for myself, because I'm not the person who got it all figured out.
Sure.
But I'm the person who recognized, I'm getting washed.
Yep.
I'm becoming a Herodian.
Yeah.
The culture is washing me over.
Yeah.
And I look more like the culture than Christ.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the thing for me is, man, renew your mind, man. I love the fact that the dope part to me is that this conversation is not unlike anything we would just be sitting around talking about.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I think the world just got privy to it. And so, man, I pray the world would become privy to more of this. I got to do this because it's the formalities of it all.
Yeah.
Tell them where they can find you and tell them what you got out there if they want to know more about what you got going on.
At Red Rev, so REDREV, current book, Permission to Be Black, My Journey with Jay-Z and Jesus. dealing with my journey, mental health, and the importance of mental health with Black men, being honest about it from a kingdom, Christ-centered perspective. So.
Boom.
bj-thompson.com. My current book, Awaken a Better You, forwarded by yours truly
joker.
over here.
Some idiot.
Some chump. And it's about my journey through being raised by a teen mom, a dad who left in the 10th grade, and discovering myself in a journey to self-actualization and all the things another person would need once they decide they want to become a better version of themselves.
Y'all, if you ain't got none, get you some friends. That's all I'm saying. Get you some friends. Like, for real. I'm a better human being because of the people you are staring at, and I just wanted to share them with y'all. Love you.
Hey.
And everybody wants the freedom, but nobody want to hear about faith. We bled for America to keep y'all fed and